And welcome back to Indieventure, the video game podcast all about the wonderful world of indie games. As always, I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts, Liam Richardson.
Hi.
And Rebecca Jones.
Hello.
And me, Rachel Watts. This episode is going to be a interesting, as we're doing an indie game draft. I'll let Liam explain the nitty-bitty of the rules in a bit, but in a nutshell, and this is for my benefit as well, just to go over the rules for my personal benefit. So, us three are going to take it in turns selecting indie games in different categories, and then when that game is chosen, it's officially removed completely from the draft and exclusive to that person's collection. And the idea is we're all going to have our different collections, and at the end, kind of like package it all as like an indie console that we're like backing or repping. Is that kind of like the broad strokes of it?
Yeah, that's it. Yep. We're going to pretend that the three of us are making an indie console, a bit like a SNES Mini that you'll be able to buy in the shops. Not really, but we'll imagine that you'll be able to buy one of them in the shops. And you, the listener, are going to vote on the winner. We're going to put a poll on Cursed website Twitter and also on our brand new Discord that is now live and people are in.
Oh, shit, yeah.
There's a link in the episode description. You can join. It's lovely. People in there are very nice. So there'll be two places and then we'll collate who wins and then they'll have bragging rights for presumably the rest of the podcast's lifespan.
Forever.
Until next year's draft. Am I right?
Oh, hello. We're already promising
that.
A second episode before we've even done this one.
Promising? No, I mean, I'm not even down to promise that there is a next year in general. Have you seen the state of things? But, you know.
Oh my God.
Sorry, was that genuinely too dark? I've been
burned
this
Love
week.
Love it. I love the state of mind. So yeah, basically what Liam said, we'll have 10 categories. We'll go through them each. And yeah, this concoction came straight from the bubbling brain of Liam's head space. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
This is also the first time we've done something like genuinely quite competitive, which I think is interesting for us because
I
don't know. I feel like we've survived all of the typical friendship ruiners, so I think we're going to be fine. But it is interesting to pit us against one another in this fashion.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
I'm really excited because this is a listing game. So
yeah, you're going to be on form for this. You are on form.
I don't know. I think you have the benefit of knowing a lot more about good indie games because like when I was doing my lists, I was like, I'm not going to just, it's not what's your favorite. It's what's like, what would do well in this category. So it's like a chance to be creative in a different way. But also I'm like, I know though, you still got to speak from the heart, and what I like is not necessarily like Rachel knows so much about what's actually acclaimed, what is beloved. I'm just like, oh man. Anyway, it's gonna be really fun.
Our three different consoles are gonna be so. It's gonna be
be wild. It's gonna be great.
But yeah, I want drama.
It's going to be very reflective of our tastes.
Yes.
I think. So it's interesting you've said that, Rebecca, because my strategy for this episode is to try and get as much off the board as possible before Rachel starts to name games that I haven't thought about or games that I'm like, oh God, that's so good. Like she just knows so many games.
No!
This will be a fight to try and get the listeners to not just vote for Rachel immediately.
Right, that's the thing. Is I'm like,
taste.
I kind of came into this with like, okay, Rachel is the bar.
No, because imagine if I had done the thing where I put Braden. I misunderstood the rules, listeners.
Oh yeah, you should explain that.
I misunderstood the rules when Liam was explaining them, and I was like, haha, I'm gonna add in I thought we'd all like share a pot of games. So I was like, haha, I'm gonna chuck in like Braid and Immortality, and like I thought that'd be quite fun because it was like you could argue for why they would be in these categories. Quite
absolutely.
But watching one of us three have to take that stance is so incredibly fucking funny. But yeah, no, thank God I didn't do that. Otherwise, I'd be arguing why Braid was the best detective game of all time or something. No, none of that. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm pumped up. We're gonna get your elbows out, guys. Get them out.
Yep, let's get ready to fight. It'd be very funny if we all have very different picks and none of us
overlap at all.
There's just
overlap. That could be a possibility.
It would be so us if there was like literally no friction whatsoever in this competitive game that we've made for ourselves.
That would be so
I mean,
funny.
you could be really spicy and be like, I know this person's going to choose that, but I'm going to take it.
I mean, I've considered it. I feel like I know what the... I feel like I know what everyone's going to be scrumming for in the first pick, and I've got a choice to make.
Yes, okay.
Right, okay. I've got a strat. I'm going to lose, but I've got a strat anyway.
You know, you might not lose. I think I'm going to lose. Right, shall we?
It's not about who loses. Yes. Look, whoever wins, good on him. The other two, like, we both runners up. It's fine.
Yes.
Look, everyone podiums. Everyone podiums, and there's only three of you, so it's all good.
This is a podium of one, I'm afraid.
It's a podium of one? It's a yellow pages that you stand on.
It's 8 copies of Edge magazine is what we stand on.
Right, did we want to start with pitching the consoles? Like, do we all have names?
I have a name.
I have my name.
Yeah, should we say the names of our consoles first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a first pitch. Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first, as I'm the host.
Okay.
I'll be gracious about it. Okay. Mine is called, after my surname, the Megawatt Voyager.
Oh, bloody hell, that's really good.
And so this is the new indie machine by What's Happening Entertainment, which is my own company of video game consoles, but this one is specifically for indie games. And Megawatt, because obviously it's Rachel Watt's product, but Voyager, because I wanted to tie it in with like the Indieventure, like we're searching, we're looking. Oh. And you know what? With this console, we've arrived. Megawatt Voyager, £2,222.99.
It's quite reasonable by today's standards.
So that's mine.
Oh my god. You went in bold with the price point.
I hadn't even thought to price it, but the concept is so good.
I didn't think of a price either, but I was like, you know what? We bought. Let's go.
Premium. Very it's like one of those analog pockets. It's like very, very premium quality product.
You got a great name to work with as well.
That's
I like
the
my
thing.
name, but it doesn't really pun very well on the whole, you know.
Yeah, I had to use the surname. It was a given. It was a nice jump out of point.
It's really good. It's really good.
Right, go on then, you two. Who's next?
You came up with a company as well. I didn't come up with a company.
I know, neither
Rebecca,
did I.
Do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'll go. I'll buy you more thinking time with my idea that is not as good as Rachel's. No! I decided that my mini indie console will be called the Empathy Machine, which is a concept in like game sort of development. Describe the effect of like, you know, using games to build empathy. And because we know that I love a good narrative game, my console's probably going to be pretty narrative game heavy. So it seemed like a good way to pitch it. It's also the fact that the Empathy Machine as a game design concept is not uncontroversial. And I feel like there's maybe going to be a few issues with the quality and standard of this machine. So that probably works. And, you know, I thought it's not a very marketable name, but PlayStation and Xbox are both boring names anyway. And one of Nintendo's most revolutionary consoles was literally named after a bodily function. So I think you can pretty much do whatever you want in this industry. And if the games are good, it'll sell. So
this is high art, Rebecca. This is high art.
Empathy
I love that.
Oh, thank you.
That's so good.
That is so good.
What's your company name?
I don't have a company name. I'm freaking out, man. I don't have a company name to hand.
Oh, it's like white label. I like this. There's no company name on the box when you buy it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I'm actually picturing it as this like slightly like Black Mirror looking like weird little white box of oddness. So yeah, I think not having any sort of like, you know, company branding on it would be quite fitting. It's probably got like a weird little like, because I, you know, obviously I'm going to just steal Rachel's idea. My name is Jones, which is very generic. So I can just have like, you know, a company registered to my very generic name, but not actually brand it in any way. And it's just some sort of like weird, surreal thing that you pick up and it's all a bit creepy and odd.
This is great.
That works.
That is
that works for me.
Yeah.
So good. Nobody knows who made the empathy machine. That's wonderful. Other than, you know, clearly you're drafting it on a podcast, but
it shows up on your doorstep one day when it, you know, after you have like committed some horrendous social sin, it turns up on your doorstep.
God. Is that the cost then? The cost is you have to do a social sin rather than £2,221.
Yeah.
Right then, Liam, what's your console?
I went in such a different direction with this, you two.
Okay. Yes.
I wanted to name my console again, like you were saying, Rachel, about this idea of searching and trying to find the best indie games and uncovering them. So I went with the name Indiscovery. That's the name of my box.
I love the audacity. I love it.
Oh my God.
And I guess based on that name, does that mean my company name has to be Rock Paper Shotgun?
I mean, oh my God. You know what? Just slightly change the colours. It's fine.
Yeah.
No one will know.
Yeah. It's a slightly different shade of pink. It's a pink box. It looks like a GameCube.
Legally, I can't participate in this joke any further, but I'll just beam my thoughts at you and we can...
Oh, receiving.
I...
Full on receiving. Yep. Jesus Christ.
Yep, that's mine.
So it's between
Lord.
the empathy machine, the Megawatt Voyager, and Indiscovery.
Oh, that's not going to get confusing at all.
You know what? This is a ruthless industry. This is a brutal industry we are working within. So stealing wholeheartedly from an very good podcast is probably the way to
Great
go.
podcast, yeah. Oh my God! Right,
Carol,
shall
love it.
I?
You know the socials. That's gonna be so funny. Because it's literally gonna be.
Funny.
And then Indiscovery. That's the audience you're hoping to grab. That's the audience
Is it
you're
intentionally
hoping.
smart, actually?
That is, because you're appealing.
work.
You're already appealing to a well-established fan base of thousands and thousands of millions of people who tuned in to listen.
It was the most successful. It's still sometimes more successful than this one in the charts.
Oh my
so
God.
People listen to season 0.
Yeah,
I choose
absolutely.
Yes.
I choose to believe people are starting from the start.
Oh God. So with all those out the way, is it time? Shall we begin?
I think it's
I'm
time.
scared.
It might be time. So shall I go through the rules?
Yes,
and then
please.
we
Yeah,
can see
you do
who's
that.
going first. So I'll go through the rules and I'll go through the categories. So the rules are we can only pick one game for each of the 10 categories. Once a game has been picked, it's off the board and can no longer be picked by another player. We can pick a game we haven't played, but we have encouraged each other to only pick games we have a history with, unless it would be really funny if we stole it from someone else. The winner will be decided by you, the listener. We'll put a poll on Twitter and Discord. And we will be determining order by spinning a wheel of our 3 names to decide who goes first, and then flipping a coin to decide who goes second. We'll be doing something that's known as a snake draft today. The person who decides to go first, and it will be their choice, they will pick one game. The second person will then pick 2. The third person will pick 2. And then when it loops back around to the first person, they'll pick 1 again, and it'll be 1 pick each until we've picked all 10 games in the draft. You have a choice. If you're picked first, you get to choose whether you go first and pick 1 game and get something exciting off the board, or second or third. Don't go third. I'll just say that. If you don't choose to go third, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
The second person will then also get the choice of whether or not they want to go second or third. So, shall I read out the categories?
Yes.
Yes.
So, our 10 categories are Category 1, detective game. Category 2, narrative focused. Category 3, forever game. Category 4, launched in early access. Category 5, multiplayer. Category 6, outstanding soundtrack. Category 7, roguelike. Category 8, included in the Indieventure vault. Category 9, dubious definition of indie. Category 10, free pick. Just to give a little bit of clarity on Forever Game, this is a game that you can feasibly play for a long, long time. Something that has a lot of replayability, as a 90s games magazine might have described it. And we have also decided, an agreement between the three of us as friends, that we're all going to pick free pick last, just because the capacity for bullshit of that is so high. We've decided that it's fair to leave that until last. Can I just say as well, and I said this in the Discord the other day, and it really amused Rachel, the energy around me trying to explain this has been the same as if I'd invited them over to play Twilight Imperium, the really complicated board game, because although they've been very polite about it, there's just this general feeling that they'd rather be anywhere else than doing this.
No, I'm well into it now. I was confused at first, but then I understood, and now I'm very... I even went through, and the 4 categories that we cut out, I've even got picks for those, just in case we need them for...
Okay, all right. Okay,
you
that's
came
good.
prepared.
I did come prepared.
You came very prepared.
I think for me, it was when you were like, don't worry, I'll explain the rules, it'll be fine, in Discord. And then the message you sent was like 15 bullet points long, subheadings, little paragraphs, and I went, I can't read this right now, and had to come back half an hour later.
Yeah,
I'm
my
not
God,
surprised.
Yeah.
They were so well, it was so well explained, but I was just like,
yes.
Oh my God, I'm going to be floundering. Like,
yeah. I think we were both a bit intimidated because it's basically fantasy football, but with indie games, and we were like...
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, it is very sports.
And if we're all friends after this episode... that'll be a bonus.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Free pick is the friendship ruiner. That's why we've saved it till last.
Yeah.
We've built in the insurance. It's all good.
That's going to detonate, and then this whole podcast is just going to explode.
Get ready for the tensest hyperfixations you've ever heard. So I'm going to spin the wheel. I'm doing this on my phone so I can show the camera in case there's
we suspect you of
claims
foul play.
of cheating. Okay, so I'm spinning the wheel. Here we go. It's spinning. And... oh my God. Okay, I'm going first.
Oh, shit!
I just want to say it. Can you see that?
Yes!
Winner, Liam?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. I am going to choose to go
for detective
first.
game.
I know you're going to choose to go first. I know exactly what you're going to do when you get there.
God damn.
Yep.
Well, that ship has sailed. Wink, wink.
Oh, actually, there's a couple of options.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Do I want to go first?
Do you want to go first?
I do. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go first. I'm fighting for my life already. We haven't even started yet. Right. Heads or tails? What? I guess one of you has to pick heads or tails to go second.
Heads!
Who wants to call it? Heads. Right. Flipping the coin. It's tails.
Oh, so Rebecca's next, and then me.
Yeah, I would like to go second, please.
You'd love to. Right, okay. So, the draft begins. Here we go. For my first pick, Category 1 detective game, I pick Return of the Obra Dinn.
Of course!
Yes! Yes!
The bells!
It's what I wanted. I'm so happy. I got Obra Dinn. Right. Return of the Obra Dinn is the best detective game ever made, and don't let anyone else in this draft tell you otherwise. Return of the Obra Dinn is by Lucas Pope, where you play an insurance detective on a galleon that comes back into port, and everyone on it is dead, and you have to investigate who's died and how they've died and who killed them, and it has the best deduction mechanisms in any game ever. It's an absolute classic. It's one of our favourite games on the podcast. You can go back and hear other people on this podcast say that it's the best detective game. I want you to bear that in mind when they try and justify their picks for detective. I am thrilled that I was able to grab that. Yes. Return of the Obra Dinn. Any
best.
thoughts?
Yeah.
even criticize the pick. There's nothing to criticize. It's just a solid pick.
Rachel is already fuming. This is like such a good start.
Fuck's sake.
Oh dear.
Oh, imagine if I was like, you know, when you play with like maybe some adults but some children, and then someone pulls a move and they don't like it, so they sulk the entire rest of the hour. That'll be me. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine, honestly.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can have that.
Minutes.
I would have been distraught if I didn't go first and couldn't get off the board. But there are still a lot of games that you two could pick that would destroy me. So I'm still very nervous. Rebecca, you're next. You get to make 2 picks now.
Yeah.
So what is your first pick?
Oh man, I am going to buy myself a minute by making this pick first. For multiplayer, I would like to take Untitled Goose Game.
That's so good.
Oh, we doing these categories in any order?
Yeah, right?
In any order. Did I not say that?
No.
I'm so sorry.
Okay,
sorry.
So
we're doing them in
any order. Okay, that's fine.
Untitled Goose Game, which is a cute little mayhem simulator where you play a naughty goose who wants to steal the bell from the model village in the village where the goose lives. I was really kind of panicked for this category because I don't play a lot of multiplayer games, but my partner and I have played Untitled Goose Game in couch co-op, which you can do. You get a second goose that looks slightly different and is very adorable. It's just a really good time, and it holds up. Although you don't have to play it in multiplayer, it is such a fun, and I love a mayhem simulator. This may have come up before, and and it is a great multiplayer mayhem simulator.
Nice.
Trying to format my thing.
Such a good pick.
That was not on my list. So that's interesting.
That wasn't on my list either.
That is interesting, yeah.
That's how I get you. That's so many of these things are like, I bet they didn't think of that.
Well, I like my multiplayer picks. This is gonna be so good.
This is right. Oh, I really didn't think it was gonna come to this because I was so sure that Liam was gonna pick this. I thought whoever came first was gonna do this.
Yes.
Which is for Forever Game. It's got to be Stardew Valley. Come on.
There it is.
I fucked myself.
I've got to take it. I've got to be strategic for once in my life.
I feel like every time we take a game, I should
Everyone
just
else is like,
blast the music of the game. Confetti bursts everywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I did not think that I was even gonna get the opportunity to take Stardew Valley, but it's some of these categories there is an answer, right?
Yes.
And if you get the opportunity to take it, you got to take it. Stardew Valley, it's the indie sandbox. I mean, arguably Minecraft could have fit in there too, but I said Stardew Valley because Minecraft's okay, in my opinion. So, and just for context, I can't imagine anyone listening to this has not heard of Stardew Valley, but in case they haven't, it is a life, social, and farming simulator where you move to Stardew Valley, a sweet little town in the middle of nowhere, and you can build up your farm and befriend the locals and eventually get married and turn your unwanted children into doves. Yes, that is...
Nice.
That is the kind of activity. The dove thing is really stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's
because I don't like
really
one
stuck
thing
with you,
that one thing that I don't like about Stardew Valley is I'm child free in real life. I like to reflect this in games, and I don't like that it forces you to have children. But I do find it really amusing that rather than just give you the option not to have a child, it lets you turn them into an animal and release them into the wild. I think that this is intriguing choice.
Yes.
You can choose to not have kids. It asks you, your partner will say, do you want to have kids first? Which
they?
Makes the fact that you can agree to have a kid and then be like, nah, they're doves now.
I was mistaken then because I thought that sometimes your spouse just comes up to you and goes, we're expecting a child now, which hits real scary if you're a woman. You're like, excuse me, what?
Absolutely not.
Totally fair.
I don't know if that's like a thing that's been added or if it was a weird glitch I saw, but either way, it has definitely been
yeah, maybe they added that actually. I'm not sure. That's interesting.
Well, good, because I did, I got certain feelings about the whole make you have a child, but then you can release it into the wild as a dove. It feels a very strange way to tackle that whole topic, to be honest. Other than that, though, Stardew Valley's still definitely the indie forever game, in my opinion. So,
yep.
Sorry, everyone. genuine hurt on the faces of my co-hosts. This is
what?
Exactly how I thought this would go.
I had Stardew for a couple of categories, but it's not been my number one for anything, so that's okay.
No.
But we're gonna be getting there. Okay, so we can't choose two from one category. It's just one each.
One each, yeah. And you get 2 for this round, and then next round it's back to 1 each until the end of the draft.
Okay. Right, okay. So my 2 picks, one is for launched in early access, because I think that's my weakest category. I didn't have many good ones for that, so I have to get in there early with Hades. The first one.
Look, it's fair, because of the 3 that we all knew everyone was going for, we got 1 each, so it's still fair.
Yeah, and I had to.
True, actually.
I had to. That is my weakest category by far, so I had to get in there quick. I had to do it now. So that one.
That is absolutely fair.
Hades, for anyone who doesn't know, is a... Sorry, I'm still thinking about my second choice. Hades is a roguelike where you play as the son of Hades who decides that they don't want to be in hell anymore and want to escape. And so essentially you battle through the different levels of hell. It's basically... a trying to impress your dad but failing simulator at heart. And what makes this game great is that you can get godly boons from all the different Olympic gods to help you through your journey, and all the gods' different personalities have very sexy voices and have really amazing character art. So Supergiant, yeah, that's probably the first maybe Supergiant game of the draft. Surely some more will be popping up elsewhere.
Interesting.
But yeah, so for launching early access, I'm going to nab Hades because I fucking needed that. But my second one...
Incredible choice.
I'm going to have to detective game because there's still some really hot ones in there. Or forever game.
Ooh.
I'm going to go forever game. My forever game, I'm going to choose Vampire Survivors as my forever game. I can't look you in the eye, Liam. I can't look you in the eye.
This was my idea. I did this to myself.
This is the most emotionally distant recording I think we've ever done. Everyone is just head in hands.
I'm just looking over here. So Vampire Survivors. This feels illegal. This feels illegal for me to explain what Vampire Survivors is.
Oh dear.
Vampire Survivors is how do you describe it? It's a forever game in that you could literally play this game until the end of time. There's so many unlockables. You play as one of several characters who are plonked into a fantasy gothic setting and have to fend for yourself through different abilities and pickups. It looks like just an explosion of objects and monsters on screen, and it's just some of the most addicting gameplay I think I've ever played. My reasoning for this was, forever game was another one of my weaker categories. I don't normally play games. For this one, there's a toss-up between this one and another one, which I know will be definitely coming up in forever category. So I went with this one. So yeah, and I don't feel good about it. But these two are my weakest. I had to get in there quick because I don't That
is a very smart strategy.
Really smart.
And multiplayer as well
for me was
me. Yeah, multiplayer is my weak. And then, so I had some weaknesses, so I had to. But yeah, this is delicious. This is such a good idea, Liam. I can't
spicy.
Stop squirming in my seat. I've never moved around this much on the podcast.
I love that this has gone exactly how I wanted it to.
Yeah. That was for Return of the Obra Dinn. Stab. Vampire Survivors.
But I'm looking at this now and I'm like, I fucked up by going first. I really did.
First is because we just one.
I know. I did think, Rachel, you going third. I was like, I almost felt a little bit like, God, I really hope she doesn't get the short end of the stick. But no, you've come out swinging immediately, and shit. So far, I wouldn't buy my own console. Right. No, vote for me. God. Vote for me, listeners. Let's see what happens. Right. So it's back to me.
Yes.
The tension. Right. The tension.
Oh, I don't know what. I feel like there's a move.
It's like chess all of a sudden. Everyone's like very quiet, very focused.
Yeah.
I just feel like if I
have
don't
to think. I have to think ahead.
Yeah, we don't normally do that on this podcast. We have to have a moment to actually
It is
consider
such a free-for-all, usually.
Shit, what was your second one, Rebecca?
Stardew.
And what was the first one?
Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, okay, that's why. All right. Oh God, I'm freaking out. I'm sweating buckets over here. I'm like, I can't remember Rebecca's first choice. Where was her first choice? But I'll type that below because then we can't use it for free.
I'm going to... Right. Oh, I think I need to make a swing here.
Oh.
Okay.
No. Who are you swinging for?
Right.
Is it both of us? Is it a twofer? Is it a twofer?
I'm going to go for... Am I? I honestly, I don't even know what I'm about to say here because I'm so torn between two categories.
It's such a
I'm
mood.
going to go for category 8 included in the Indieventure vault. And I'm going to go for Journey.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
That's not the reaction I wanted.
That's okay.
That's okay, everybody.
That's fine.
It's okay.
Both of you seem completely fine with that, which I'm not happy about.
I mean, I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Same.
Shit.
Okay,
I'm going to go with that. So, Journey is a game by That Game Company. It's one of the earliest sort of modern indie games, if we're using that classification. You play an unnamed character who is moving through the sands to go on a journey up a mountain. The game has an incredible... I could have put this in multiplayer. Just realised.
Yeah. I also just realised that it's not in my multiplayer one either. Oh.
I fucked this, gang. I think I fucked this so far. It has an amazing social element where other players can come into your game and you don't know their name until the very end. It's a very emotive, beautiful game. It has an incredible soundtrack. It's short and it's sweet, but it's a very important game. I think Journey is a good pick. Emphasis on I think. That's my pick for category 8, included in the Indieventure vault. I think it's a very important indie. I think if this is an indie console, I think Journey's a good crowd pleaser.
If you listen back a few episodes, you'll hear someone make a really impassioned case for its inclusion in the...
You will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now is it one each?
It's one each
now. It's one
yeah.
each.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rebecca, you're next.
Okay. So that has slightly put the fear in me because you've just wiped out my second choice for like 4 different categories. So I'm like, okay, this is getting real.
Okay. Right. Tactical shot.
So, indeed. But it's okay because the one that I'm now most worried about is also included in the Indieventure vault. And
really,
before I sniped Stardew Valley, this is what I was going to go for. So I think this should be my next shot.
Okay.
Which is that I would like to pick Dredge for my...
Okay.
You know, I mean...
Is that for category 8?
Yeah. Tactically speaking, that's the one that we all agreed on the most.
Yes.
So, so I just really kind of want to get to the point where one of you has to argue for Monster Prom. It could happen. But yeah, Dredge is a Lovecraftian horror fishing simulator. It was our Indieventure game of the year 2023 jointly. It is a spooky good time. It is rather relaxing despite its horrifying premise. You could put this in other categories. This could be forever game as well. There's a lot kind of goes on in this one despite it being quite a simple game on the surface. On the surface, that is a fishing pun.
Nice.
It is definitely a game that I keep going back to in little moments. I think that for my picture of how this console comes together, a lot of games that are nice to pick up and play on things like the Switch would be. I mean, I'm playing this on my Steam Deck in real life. Mm-hmm. It is surprisingly spooky and also a surprisingly good fishing sim, considering that I don't really like fishing mechanics in games.
Nice, love that.
Yeah,
there we go.
Can't argue with Dredge. Just can't argue
Dredge is
with
solid.
It's an absolutely.
It's literally the one that we all jointly submitted to the vault, whereas all of the others have been individual picks. So
very, very true. Yep.
Again,
so
it's
true.
tactics, innit?
So back to me.
Okay, Rachel, back to you.
I'm going to choose Detective Game Paradise Killer because I think if Return of the Obra Dinn is number 1, Paradise is number 2, maybe joint with one other game. for me personally. Paradise Killer, you play as Lady Love Dies, an entity who is in this kind of limbo space with a bunch of other gods who are all bickering and arguing and there's been a murder. And so she is set off to investigate the who, the what, the where, the why, the how of this murder investigation in this very tropical paradise, basically. The characters are quirky. The way that you find clues and detective work is all totally hands-off. But the best thing about this game is, unlike Return of the Obra Dinn, she's taking punches, Paradise Killer actually has, I think, a more satisfying ending. Obra Dinn is great, but everything's in the past. Paradise is in the present. You have a court at the end where you have to give your evidence, and you can be right or wrong. And I think the punch of that is hit way harder in Paradise Killer than Return of the Obra Dinn. So that is why I've chosen Paradise Killer for the Megawatt Voyager.
This is great. To the best of my recollection, you've both just argued for each other's favourite detective games, and it's so spicy.
Yeah, we have.
It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, who are just like perfectly evenly matched.
Oh God, it feels like, big. She's turned the winds against me. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't argue with it. Paradise Killer is an absolutely incredible game.
Yeah.
God damn it. Well picked, Rachel.
I love it.
We should absolutely shit on each other's choices as well. Not shit on them, but well, is it? Well.
Yeah, I don't want to cause any ill will to any people I might want to,
Can I ask, before I do mine, how do you feel saying that Return of the Obra Dinn doesn't end as well as Paradise Killer? Look me in the eye.
Shame on
I believe that.
No, it's true. It is true.
It's true. But I think Return of the Obra Dinn is a fantastic detective game, but that ending is satisfying. The Paradise Killer ending is like you've taken 10 Red Bulls, you're hyped up, you have a folder full of evidence, and you're going into court. The ending is amazing, incredible. That's that's my argument as to why it's better on the Megawatt Voyager. 2,222 pounds, 22p.
Oh, it's gone up by a pound. Oh my God, inflation is hitting us really hard.
But no, I do believe that. I would not lie. I would not lie here on this podcast. So what now?
I am going to go for category 2 narrative focused, and I'm going to take What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, good one. Good pick.
Oh, damn it.
Claps to that.
You sniped me, sir.
Rebecca. Yes.
You sniped me.
So What Remains of Edith Finch is a narrative-focused walk-in sim, as we refer to them these days, where you play as a young woman who returns to her family home. This home is architecturally really different. It's very higgledy-piggledy and has lots of rooms that are built on top of one another. And as you explore these rooms, you basically revisit these little vignettes of family members who've all died. And there is this curse on the family, or this supposed curse, and the game has some incredibly moving moments. You are seeing these people's lives and the run up to their deaths, and the way that it visualizes and conveys the depth of these people in little mini games in very different genres. It makes it one of the best narrative focused indie games ever made. This game made me cry. I think about it quite a lot. I think it is one of the finest narrative focused indie games ever made. That is my pick for category 2.
God damn, that's a good one.
That is a very good one. It won the BAFTA for best game. Hard to argue. Yeah, completely pushed. I think what was it 2 Nintendo Switch launch titles out.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
I think it did.
Hell yeah, love that. All right,
Rebecca.
No, I can't argue. Okay, right, now this is where I'm like, because I could be tactical. Could try and follow it, but I don't want to just keep following whatever category Liam is making me nervous about in the last pick.
Do what you got to do.
I don't know. Do I risk it? Do I risk it? Because like there are some where I'm like, I'm pretty sure that my way of thinking is unique enough here that I'm probably safe.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about with some of them as well.
Sorry, this is like a very indecisive moment that is not probably going to make for good audio.
No.
You know what?
Take your time.
I'm too nervous. I'm too nervous because narrative focused, kind of my jam. What Remains of Edith Finch was totally going to be my pick, but What Remains of Edith Finch was the tactical pick. As I say, it's, you know, extremely lauded. But the heart pick, and also extremely lauded for this category, would be Firewatch. So,
all right, fair.
So I'm going to pick Firewatch, which is one of my favorite games. Generally, it's one of my submissions to the Indieventure, one of my inaugural submissions to the Vault. I really love this game. It is another walking sim. I feel like narrative focused and walking sim don't have to be synonymous, but in indies they often are because of like budgetary considerations. And it's a visually stunning game. It's also an extremely, extremely moving game about a man called Henry, who is in his early 40s. His wife, who's slightly older but not that much older, has recently been diagnosed with early onset dementia. She's now being cared for by her family, and so he, to kind of like get his head together, goes away for a summer job at a Firewatch station in, I want to say, Shoshone National Park in the United States. So for something like 3 months, he's going to be completely isolated, only able to speak to his fellow watchtower operators, I guess, via radio. But he's surrounded by all this like incredible natural beauty. This is not a detective game. I didn't have it in the detective game category, but it is kind of a mystery. And I don't want to say much more about the story because I think it is genuinely, well, you know, it's a great story. And in terms of gameplay, it's quite light. So it's definitely one that I would recommend going into knowing as little as possible if you don't already know it. I love Firewatch. And I really, really was nervous that if I didn't get it right now, someone else.
Interesting. Because that
Firewatch.
Firewatch wasn't on my radar for anything.
That's fair. It's
Really?
constantly on my radar because it's just one of my favourites. But like,
yes,
anything that was in the Vault, because the Vault is quite a narrow list, I was like, you got to get in there early.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great pick. Love Firewatch. Rachel.
I'm going to go for dubious definition of indie because this is another one I do not have that many for. And I'm going to pick Minecraft because when that released, that was indie.
Honestly, great pick. I will accept Minecraft for that category.
Thank you.
Incredible pick.
God, that was such a... I literally have 2 in that category. But yeah, if we're looking at the history of indie games or just the history of like independently released games in general, Minecraft has to be part of that conversation, even if the person who originally created Minecraft is shall not be named. Scandal noted.
I thought it was Hatsune yeah. Did we all just make the same joke at the same time?
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, again, we're talking about indie game sandboxes. If Stardew's up there, Minecraft is right alongside it. Minecraft is a sandbox game where you play as a little blocky person who just goes on an adventure and just does whatever the fuck you want. There is a bit of a story, but it's more based on like what you want to make. I think with our list of indies, we don't have many that kind of really tap into the creative side of like playing games. Minecraft is that game. It is the godfather of like sandbox creation stuff. The amount of mods work that has been done to Minecraft, the amount of fan like games that have been made inside Minecraft is absolutely incredible. It's got one of the biggest fandoms out of any game on this list. Yeah, I just think that to have it alongside all the other indies I'm going to choose is actually not that weird considering the category. So there it is, Minecraft. It's in my console. Done. Locked in. Oh, the piece I find when I highlight the game.
Oh, I know. Locked in. Secured.
Yes. Right.
Incredible pick. Yeah, I did consider Minecraft for that category.
Me too. But
yeah,
it really didn't make my top 5, just barely, just because I knew that there were at least 5 games I could pick that would annoy each of you.
Yeah, I know. For you, Rebecca, I know that is packed, that category. So
yeah,
I only had 2.
I live at the dubious definition of indie. Yes, that's my home turf.
You live at AA and Indie Street on that intersection.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
where you live.
Yeah,
exactly.
Back to you, Liam.
Back to me. He's sweating, listeners. He's sweating.
I just want to acknowledge that I think that was the longest silence we've ever had on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it actually was. Yeah. Okay.
What are you thinking? Do you want to say what you're thinking out loud, but without giving too much away?
No.
I'm thinking that I need to get a few heart picks in here, otherwise this console isn't going to look authentic enough and no one will vote for me.
No, really?
I do love these games that I've done. I just feel like there needs to be a little bit of Liam in here. And I'm trying to think of what is a Liam thing. Okay, I'm going to go for Category 6, Outstanding Soundtrack, and I'm going to go for Hotline Miami.
Yes.
Nice.
So Hotline Miami, as I'm sure many of you know, is a early Devolver Digital published game developed by Denaton Games. You play as a very violent thug who goes in between these small buildings and absolutely massacres all of the mobsters inside of them. The game is electric with its visuals. It's a pulse-pounding, thumping thing that's just all about hyper-violence and the uncomfortable feelings it brings up in you. But the best thing about it, and we discussed this on our the Indieventure Vault episode and also on our Best Soundtracks episode, the soundtrack, which is a collection of licensed music, is absolutely phenomenal. Easily one of the best soundtracks in indie games, and this is a very stacked category. I won't even try and act like this is the best pick. There are so many you could pick for this category, but I do have to stick to my beliefs. One of the reasons why I put Hotline Miami in the vault is because of its soundtrack. That's why I'm picking it for Category 6. The cat keeps sitting on my keyboard when I'm trying to do my spreadsheet and deleting my picks.
She
doesn't
really
want me to win.
active today.
Shari's going to vote for Rachel.
She has an opinion.
I know she is.
Yeah, she does.
Yes, Hotline Miami.
Oh, that is a really good choice. That was definitely in my top picks as well. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That was a good one.
Ooh, okay, feel a bit relieved about that then.
Rebecca, your turn.
All right, this is awkward because I had already decided to go for Outstanding Soundtrack next, but there's 3 in a row that I've done exactly the same one Liam's just done.
I'm in a head listener. I'm living there rent-free.
Yeah. But genuinely, so many of my possible picks for this have already been knocked out, some of them by me. So I thought I need to... I'm sniping myself in here, but my top pick's still there. It probably would stay there, but I can't risk it at this point. So for Outstanding Soundtrack, I would like to pick Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which I talked about at quite a bit of length in our recent indie game Jukebox episode. But Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is another, similar to Firewatch and What Remains of Edith Finch, it's another What Remains of Edith Finch. I did say words, I didn't just slur it all out. It's another sort of walking sim type game. It's again very beautiful to look at, very very moving story, but one of the things that really does stand out as well is Jessica Curry's soundtrack for it is sublime. It is one of the few... I love a lot of game soundtracks, but usually I have 2, 3, 4 tracks that I listen to on repeat. I will just listen to Everybody's Gone to the Rapture soundtrack all the way through every time. It is beautiful. It all sort of flows into itself so nicely with different choral and it sounds like a single piece, but the influences are so varied and it always speaks to the character because there are 6 different sort of main protagonists, and it always really reflects that character and what's going on in their life. It's beautiful. It's a lovely game as well. It's another very acclaimed indie walking sim. Rachel and I have very different ideas about whether the story's held up, but the soundtrack definitely has. So that's why it's going into soundtracks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good pick. That's a very personal pick for you, which I totally get. Your console is looking very Rebecca coded, and I feel like
well, that's why we're calling it the empathy machine, because we knew where this was headed. We knew it was going to be a bunch of romance and feelings games. So
that's a good
and Dredge, weirdly.
And Dredge as
well. And Dredge is there.
Did you not romance the? Oh come on! I know you were being thirsty over the what's his face.
The guy who gives you the
curator
missions.
Guy, who looks exactly like one of my friends, and it's very distracting.
Oh, really?
Right, okay. Weird. I'm going to go for multiplayer, and my choice is going to be Cult of the Lamb by Devolver Digital Games.
Oh, that's good.
Such a good pick.
Cult of the Lamb is a cult simulator where you play as a lamb who escapes sacrifice and decides to make his own cult to kind of get back at those who were going to sacrifice him. And so the multiplayer aspect of this game is you can play in 2-player, and you can make your cult as horrible or as like a paradise as you want. And it's a really great game. I'm not really one for like really intense action-packed roguelikes, but the farming elements of Cult of the Lamb really pulled me through the rest. The art style is really cutesy. Like, it just looks really nice. I think there's a lot of humor in there. In terms of management, it's really fun to kind of just like make your cultists do like abhorrent things. So yeah, definitely choosing that as my multiplayer. And I do think it fits quite nicely with what I've got going on. Although, my tactic now is I've got the ones that I'm scared of out the way. I've gotten my scary categories out the way. So now all the games which I think, for me personally, is like, oh, these I want to put on the list. I think those are the ones I have left. So I think I'm feeling quite comfortable at the moment, but it could all change. So yeah, that is my pick.
That's a very good pick. Yeah, both your consoles are looking nice. Right.
So back to you, babes.
Back to me. I agree. There's one more category I think I need to make a choice in, and then I can maybe relax for the rest of the draft.
Oh, yeah.
The chances of you two picking the rest of my games are quite low.
Yes.
But I'm torn between 2 games for this, and I don't know what to go for.
Your heart. Go for your heart.
Oh, I've never trusted that. Just trying to look at the other games I have.
It's interesting that like the categories that the other 2 have chosen for, like I have a couple of categories which, because you 2 have gone for relatively same, I'm sitting quite pretty because I'm just like, well, I can just have whatever is left now.
Yeah.
I think we've sort of done the crossover categories now. I feel like the rest of them are quite individual.
That's the thing, yeah. We're all bloodied and bruised.
I'm going to go for category 7 roguelike.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm just going to have to make this decision on the spot.
Do it live.
I'm going to go for Slay the Spire.
Woo! That is very respectful.
So, Slay the Spire is arguably the deck building roguelike that defined the genre. It's a game that very few people could argue has been bested since. This is a game where you play as a set of characters and you travel through dungeons, you randomly draw a hand of cards, and the game is about finding wild synergies between these cards and defeating enemies and getting your way to the end of the run. It's a very simple game, but its mechanical complexity and the amount of synergies that are baked into it make it an absolutely intoxicating roguelike to spend a hell of a lot of time with. I no-lifed this on the Switch when it first came to that platform years ago. I just think it's an incredible roguelike that lets you always feel like you're at a tension point between I fully understand how this works and I feel like I'm learning something new on every single run. It's an absolute joy. It's a great treat, and I think it balances out my console a little bit in an interesting way because it's a little bit more cerebral but still has a bit of action punch. So that's my pick for category 7 roguelike. So we've now done 5 games each. Should we very quickly just run through all of our picks so far? To remind people.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So on my machine in Discovery, I have category 1 detective game, Return of the Obra Dinn. Category 2 narrative focused, I have What Remains of Edith Finch. Category 6 outstanding soundtrack, I have Hotline Miami. Category 7 roguelike, I have Slay the Spire. In category 8 included in the Indieventure vault, I have Journey. Rebecca, what do you have so far?
So far on the Empathy Machine, I still think it's a terrible name, but I could run with it.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it as well.
I love and hate it, which I think is actually where good console names come from in the real world. Yeah, so,
true.
You know. I haven't numbered the categories, so I'm going to have to put that. For category 2, which is narrative focused, I have Firewatch. Category 3, Forever Game, Stardew Valley. Category 5, multiplayer, Untitled Goose Game. Category 6, outstanding soundtrack, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. And category 8, included in the Indieventure vault, I have Dredge.
Nice. For the Megawatt Voyager, I have Detective Game, Paradise Killer. It's category 1. Category 3, Forever Game, I have Vampire Survivors. Category 4, launched in the Axis, I have Hades. Category 5, multiplayer, I have Cult of the Lamb. And category 9, dubious definition of indie, I have Minecraft.
That's such a good pick. You kind of hear Minecraft said out loud and be like, oh yeah, that's a shit pick. Like, it's just a great pick.
Oh. Nice. Okay, this should be a bit more laid back, hopefully. Unless anyone wants to be particularly spicy.
This is really fun, by the way. I'm enjoying this so much.
This is so much fun.
I'm so glad it's working out. I really am, because I was so desperate to do this on the pod, and I just knew that we'd have fun with it. So thank you for entertaining me on this.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for explaining the rules of fantasy football to us until we
I know.
I don't understand the sports side of it, just FYI.
Just fantasy football. I get it.
So, yeah, Rebecca, where you at?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was like, wait, me? And then I was like, oh yeah, because the snake draft. I understand what that is.
Yes.
The only one that I'm still a little bit nervous on is, funny enough, dubious definition of indie, so I think I'm going to get that out of the way.
Oh, okay.
Because after that, I think that I'm into territories that you two won't go into for the rest of mine. So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
For dubious definition of indie, I've decided that I would like to pick Power Wash Simulator.
Oh!
Because of exactly this. Because of exactly this.
Immediately, you said power, and then Liam.
He's actually disappeared. I think he might not be coming back to the podcast. Oh no,
I knocked my microphone really hard. I thought I was so smart. I thought no one would go for Power Wash. I fucked it.
Oh, Liam, it's like, do you not see me like every Tuesday night if we're not recording? The little pop up on Steam.
She's been power washing.
I watch my friend's show and I power wash.
You have so many heart picks for this category. I honestly thought that it was safe.
Oh,
I was like, there's no way.
I gotta tell you,
no.
I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse, but there is no Frogwares game anywhere on my whole draft list.
That makes me feel way worse.
Oh no!
The spice is still not done.
She'll pick Danganronpa. She'll pick it.
I don't even know. Okay, I think that's too
delicious.
That's
delicious.
The double A. That's the AA, AAA barrier, if you ask me. Danganronpa, that's around there. Whereas Power Wash Simulator, which I should explain now the screaming has stopped.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. That was such a raw, honest reaction.
Me cackling, you screaming.
I was howling. I was also howling.
Yes,
so
Rebecca
it's like
howling.
definitely not just you. Power Wash Simulator is dubiously indie because while it is developed by an indie studio, it's published by Square Enix, who have given them all sorts of rights to play with their other IPs, like past and present, like Tomb Raider, like Final Fantasy, like all sorts of things that just like a non-controversial indie pick would not be allowed to play with that sort of IP, obviously. But it's just a very nice, I like to refer to it as a kind of an adult colouring book in reverse.
Yes.
You play as someone who's just started up a power washing business with, a lot of very nice kit. They're going around this town where allegedly there hasn't been a massive mudslide, but I don't know how the place got in this state unless there was just a huge mudslide that like wiped out the town, because it is filthy from top to bottom. And you slowly, obviously over time you power wash all the surfaces until the colour is restored, everything's beautiful and clean. And you realise that this is probably a really nice town to live in. And it's just very, very relaxing. I played it a lot. I had COVID over Christmas last year, and that was when I really went to another level with Power Wash Simulator. It's one of my favourite games of the decade so far. It's a very, very good Steam Deck, which seems to be like the common denominator on a lot of my picks is that, oh yeah, I love it on my Steam Deck, or I love it on Switch. I'm definitely going handheld with mine. That's my concept.
I was about to
for
say,
sure.
Yeah. I think your console's a handheld.
Oh, it's definitely I was always picturing it as a handheld, but I think it might be like a proper portable one. Nice. Power Wash Simulator. I've broken Liam's heart. I'm so sorry.
I am fucked for this category, you two. I am fucked.
Okay.
How do I stand up against Minecraft and Power Wash?
I'm gonna have to spice back because you guys have picked the only two roguelikes that I know, basically.
Fair, okay. Honestly,
I haven't
Rebecca,
picked a roguelike yet. Have I?
But I mean, you have not for the category.
Oh,
No.
sorry. Sorry.
Yeah,
Got you.
You've picked like technically
Yeah.
3. Call of the Lamb roguelike.
It is. It has roguelike elements. I think it was certainly on my list. So
It was on my list of roguelikes as well.
Roguelike. Honestly, roguelike is my like my dump stat category. I'm just like, we'll just accept that when I get there, it's
Nice.
heart picks all the way down. So
That's fair.
yeah. Anyway, that's for later. I'm just like trying to deflect my own guilt by pointing out that we just haven't got to the parts where I'm fucked yet. But
mate, no, you should be gloating in the warmth of a great choice. Like power
just
wash
holding my power washer close.
Rachel, how are you going to break my heart?
I think we're a bit past that. I think.
We'll see.
Okay.
I thought so too.
A lot of my categories you guys have done with, so I'm happy with that. Roguelike was a really tough one for me as well, but I'm really secure in my top one for that, so I'm not worried. And so I might start going more for like I need to add a bit of my own flavor to this console. So I will go for narrative focused, and I will go for Kentucky Route Zero.
Yay.
Because that is the love of my life. God, I've talked about this fucking game so much. Kentucky Route Zero follows a truck driver named Conway who is tasked with delivering a package to the Zero, a highway, a spiritual kind of weird highway that runs underneath the state of Kentucky. To find the Zero, Conway goes all over Kentucky, picking up different hitchhikers who all have their respective stories, and together these kind of different threads kind of make a tapestry of this portrait of what life in Kentucky is like in terms of working for the gig economy, economically what that's like. A lot of these people are like cast-offs of society. They are people that have don't really have anywhere to go because of their social circumstances or economic circumstances. They're kind of looking for direction, and so this band of people comes together for a very heart-wrenching road trip, which is just as much point today as it when it first came out, the very first episode, because it took them a hot minute, 7 years. But yeah, this kind of like reflection on specifically American politics and economics. And if you want American Gothic, the video game, Kentucky Route Zero is that. I think a lot of my choices are pretty like broad, so this one is definitely like if I were to like pitch the console, this is like, ooh, the weird indie that like, there's always one that's like a bit like underground or like a bit spicy. So Kentucky Route Zero would be my pick for my console. So I'm adding that.
Great.
Done.
Okay. Excellent.
Happy with that.
Very, very good.
It's going to be really interesting at the end just to see how much of the vault is accounted for in here.
True,
yeah,
yes.
I'll be curious about that actually.
Absolutely. Nice. Which ones do you have left? Which categories?
Forever Game, Launch and Early Access, Multiplayer, Dubious Definition of Indie, and Free Pick.
I haven't done Detective Game, Early Access, Roguelike, or obviously Free Pick.
For category 4, Launched and Early Access,
Yes.
I'm going to go with RimWorld.
Ooh, interesting.
Nice. There was a moment of tension then. Once again, by the way, you picked the one that I'd already decided to pick next, and I sound really desperate.
Oh my God.
I think if you hadn't pointed it out, I would never have noticed.
I know, it's just
same.
I'm too good at pattern recognition.
You are.
So, RimWorld is a colony management game that launched in early access and is now fully released and has multiple expansion packs. This is by Ludion Studios. In RimWorld, you control a settlement of colonists on a hostile planet, and you have to manage them. So you have to make sure they have shelter, that they are gathering resources, that they're keeping themselves fed, and also keeping themselves protected from the numerous random events that happen during the course of your game. The exciting thing about RimWorld is that it is as much an emergent storytelling tool as it is a management game. All of your colonists have different personality types. They are designed to clash off one another. They can be hostile to one another. They can be moody, grumpy. They can develop mental illnesses as they progress through the game. And it basically puts you in charge of looking after these group of people that, although visually they are very simplistic, they feel very deep and well realized. And every unique run, or well, just every unique game feels completely different. And what's really nice about it is that it introduced a task-based management system. So instead of like clicking on a colonist and then saying, okay, well, I want you to go and do this, you prioritize what they're going to do within this settlement that you build. This is just an absolutely fantastic game. I lost a lot of time to this when it came out. It's my sister's favorite game of all time, I think. It's incredibly high up on my most played games list because Sarah used to just binge it on my laptop. But I think RimWorld is a fantastic game. It was a rare early access success story at the time. It flourished in early access. It launched to overwhelmingly positive reception. RimWorld. Feeling pretty comfortable about that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a great one. That is a great one.
Okay, Rebecca, back to you.
Yeah, back to me. And I'm also going to go for launch in early access. For no particular reason other than like I am on really safe ground now, I think, for, well, the rest of mine not getting picked up. But I don't know. I want to talk about this one, basically. For launch in early access, I would like to choose Project Zomboid.
Ooh.
Which is a game that I don't get to play as often as I would like because it is another one that you could put in forever game, potentially. It is a big thing. I think it's still, however many years later, like 8 years later, it's still in early access. It may be a game that always is in early access, but I feel like it is such a complete experience already. There's a big modding scene around it. And the reason that I feel like a big connection to Project Zomboid is because it asks a question that I, being the weird child that I was, asked myself a lot back in the day, which is, what if the zombie apocalypse broke out in the town from the original Sims, essentially?
Oh yeah.
My God.
To the point where I've seen a really great mod that actually rebuilds the original Sims neighborhood from the Sims 1 in Project Zomboid. It looks so good. I have to send you the video links. It's
funny.
Amazing. It's so good. Because the aesthetic of Project Zomboid is actually very heavily based on the original Sims, so it's kind of got that like lovely nostalgia factor, because obviously indie games now can more or less match like a big AAA from 2000 in terms of a lot of what they do. But it's genuinely just, I love zombie fiction anyway. It's a really good time in that it's a miserable time, but it has a sense of humor about it. The game starts with I think it said, this is the story of how you die, is how every game starts. And it is like pure survival. It's just, you are dropped into this zombie apocalypse as a sole survivor in this town, tasked with just surviving as long as you can. And there's just all of the things that you need to take care of, like your health in various different bodily functions, like how you're going to eat, where you're going to get like safe water to drink. Do you have medicine? Could you deal with a zombie bite if you got bitten? Do you have weapons? Do you have like warmth, clothing? You know, can you make a safe shelter for the night so you can sleep? It is the sort of like very deep level life sim that I love, coupled with the very intense zombie apocalypse story that I also love. I have a lot of affection for this game, even though, as I say, I don't get to play it as often as I do watch it streamed quite a lot. And
oh, cool.
I think it's another one that is great because like the gameplay loop is often so short because you die so quickly. It's another pretty good one for that.
Humbled.
Yeah. I'm always like, oh, how would you do in a zombie? It does not blink when it tells you like exactly how you would do in a zombie apocalypse. It's like, oh, 3 days, that's pretty good. Yeah.
3 days.
that is a really, really good run. If you make it over 24 hours, you've done really well. Project Zomboid.
That is such a good pick.
Interesting
Rebecca.
pick.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that one to come
I
up,
still need
so
to
I like
play
that.
Yeah.
Right, back to me.
Yeah, go on, Rachel.
So I'm going to go for Indieventure Vault, and I will pick Disco Elysium as my Indieventure Vault pick, because this was also pretty high on my detective category as well.
But actually
above Paradise Killer, but no, maybe not above, maybe equal, maybe, I don't know. You know what? That's not the conversation here. So yeah, Disco Elysium,
Undoing your own pick.
I wanted to get this one on the console because I hands down think this is one of the best detective RPGs, indie RPGs, like out of everything. You play as a broken human being of a man who wakes up absolutely with the worst hangover of the century on a hotel floor. You've forgotten who you are, why you're in the city, the fact that you're even a cop, a detective, and why you're there. So working backwards from that, you're an amnesiac who then slowly realizes that you are in this place because of a murder that happened, and then you're trying to solve it with your various stats abilities, which is based on like a lot of TTRPG systems. Disco Elysium is a monster of a game. Not only is it just huge in terms of story, I've spoken to so many different people about Disco Elysium, and everyone has a different experience because of the way that you make your detective based on the skill system, and also the choices you make, the political way you swing. Like, it's just wild in terms of how much this game packs. And not only that, like, this game has such a sense of space. Like, Revachol as a place is like so beautiful and so haunting. It has its own history that you can learn about. It has its own political history, economic history. God, it's just an absolute beast of a game. And although I think it does lack certain aspects that I look for in indie games, such as like, any female representation. Like, there are a few female characters, but they kind of suck. So it does fall down with some of those. But in terms of just what it is, like a detective RPG, it's one of the best. It's literally so fucking good. So I am putting that on my console because goddamn, what a game.
Has to be there, right? If it's your console,
yeah,
you've got to have Kentucky Route Zero, you've got to have Disco Elysium. I think the listeners will respond well to that.
Woo! Done. Oh,
Very
this is such more. This
nice.
is a much more relaxing second half. Of
Yeah,
just
it is.
Really
talking
is,
about the fun games that we love. Right, so back to you, babe.
To me, I'm going to go for Category 3 Forever Game. I'm going to pick Balatro.
Yes,
Nice.
that was the other one that I had. Oh,
Right, nice.
It was a toss-up between those two.
Balatro is a poker roguelike where you have to complete blinds by playing poker hands. The twist of the game that makes it as addictive and as magic as it is that you can buy Joker cards from a shop in between blinds, and these Joker cards give you weird and wonderful powers and benefits in future blinds. The trick of the game, again, a bit like Slay the Spire, is to constantly find synergies and to keep getting more and more money so that you can blitz your way through the game. As we know, friend of the podcast, Henry, is the one who beat this game in 4 hours. But why am I saying that? That undermines my pick for Forever Game. Balatro
because
is
no one
a game,
else has ever done that. That is very unique to friend
the
of the podcast,
exception
Henry.
that proves the rule. This is a game that you could just pick away at feasibly for the rest of your life. It's so chewy, it's so compulsive, it's so beautifully presented. I think Balatro is one of the best games of the year, and I'm very excited to have something a little bit recent on this list.
Yes.
Balatro.
That's a very good pick. I also
It's a great
totally
pick.
forgot it was a roguelike, and now I'm kicking myself because I was like, God damn, did not even think of that.
Oh, mate.
I had it so securely in forever. I was just like, if it's not Vampire Survivors, I have to go Balatro. Like, that is my backup.
Oh, okay,
Interesting.
Nice.
That's a very good pick. Yeah, and so recent. That is a really good point. Like, that is a very your console is modern.
Yes. Although I would also
is.
say, like, I think we've done a pretty good job of not being too terrible with the recency bias on this, which I'm happy with. Because when I was first drafting my list, I could only remember games I played in the last 3 months, and it was a bit
Yes.
Jesus. We're good. Is it me?
Yes.
It's you.
Awesome. Okay, so now the elephant in the room.
Oh.
Rebecca has not yet picked a detective game.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the fact that I play so many detective games, I kind of struggled with this one, honestly, because like we said, you know, that intersection between AA and indie, which I didn't want to lean on too heavily for this. It's also the fact that the three like almost objectively best indie detective games being Obra Dinn, Paradise Killer, and Disco Elysium, the 3 games I'm always promising I'm going to play when I have a spare 50 hours, and that I still don't. I've only scratched the surface of all of them. I couldn't. It's not like Stardew Valley, right? Where I know I've played the least Stardew Valley out of the 3 of us, but I can still, in good conscience, say I know enough about Stardew Valley to put it on my console. I couldn't have taken any of those 3 and made the defense that it deserved. So, having a think about, right, and this is going to be a bear with me moment, but not for the reason you think.
Okay.
Is that thinking about like detection as a mechanic, detective work and investigation as a game mechanic.
Where is this going?
Where is this going? Is that with a little help from Steam's sometimes odd but often illuminating tag system, I have decided to pick Heaven's Vault as my favourite detective game to go on here.
That counts 100%.
Okay,
yeah, I thought you were going to be like faster than light. Like that's
No, I'm not quite. I do, like I say, I do know a lot of detective. It was a little bit of like a choice paralysis because of the sort of lesser known indie detective games. I know so many. Like filtering for a sort of personal favourite was like really difficult until I saw that Heaven's Vault was listed as a great indie detective game in various places. I was like, actually, yeah. You're playing as an archaeologist rather than someone who is like a traditional detective. You're solving, historical. You're trying to piece together the history of this sort of planetary system that your character lives in, rather than solve a crime directly. But in terms of the mechanics, it absolutely is. It's detective work. It is linguistic archaeology, which is, I've known enough archaeologists to know it is absolutely it meshes with detective work so well. And also, I just love this game. I have, really fond memories of playing this when it came out with friend of the podcast, Nick. And it's a great, having 2 people work on the sort of like decoding the dead language that they, Also, the fact that there's like a full conlang in this game.
That's
wild.
That is wild.
I would love to play it again sometime. It's a big, it's one of those games that you have to play quite quickly because you need to be remembering stuff quite well. But yeah, I genuinely think that this is thinking outside the box ever so slightly. A sadly overlooked critically. I think it launched in a really packed year.
Yes, I think you're right. Absolutely.
A really fantastic game about detective work and uncovering mysteries.
Yeah, love that. Great pick.
I think it's a game about deduction. So
indeed.
Really, really good pick. A little bit like. Not what people would expect, but an absolutely great pick for that category. So yeah, not to big up your console too much, but I think that's really good.
I think the problem here is they're all great consoles.
Well,
we'll pretty sweet.
Let's see what we all get for free pick.
Oh shit, true. Yeah. So my penultimate pick is I'm going to choose roguelike. For that one, I'm going to choose Loop Hero. Which I've talked about on the podcast before, but this is definitely my roguest choice. Hello. So yeah, I didn't have many for roguelike. I totally forgot about Balatro. Fuck. But I don't think Loop Hero is too far behind in terms of like a good recommendation. You basically play as this knight-esque character. It's in a gothic fantasy setting. And the idea of the game is that the world has been like swallowed up by a lich, and everyone has forgotten everything, all their memories, everything. The world as we know it has just been like absorbed into this black hole of nothingness. Playing as this character, you are given a loop route. This game is 2D pixel art, and as it's like a what are they called? Auto battler. Yeah, auto battler. Thank you. Yeah. This is an auto battler game with like card deck building-esque features. So yeah, your little dude goes around and around in this loop, and you basically have to put obstacles, creatures, nasties in front of him so that he will gain enough experience points, and at the end of this timer that slowly ticks down, he fights the first of many bosses. So the first boss is the Lich in one form. So yeah, you have to get this little guy up to level 50 or whatever before he fights this epic monster dude. So yeah, let's get some skeletons down. Let's get some vampires down. And so this kind of increasing challenge that you're putting on this little dude is just really again, addictive. It is like Balatro, it is like Vampire Survivors, but maybe less so, which I quite like. It's definitely a game that works super well on the deck or the Switch. It's very comfortable. It's very comfortable on there. There's also some base building capabilities, but that's not really the focus here. But yeah, this is a great roguelike, not much like mentioned or talked about, but yeah, it's really smart. Part of your little knight's journey is like remembering the world and what happened to it. So you collect memories and slowly he begins to remember. So I like this dark fantasy setting, but also there's like this weird cosmic twist on it. Like the setting is just a bit off kilter and a bit interesting in the way that I'm like, oh, this is like legit cool. Like I love this setting. So yeah, that is Loop Hero as my entry for roguelike, and I'm quite happy with that.
That's a really nice one. Yeah, I'd forgotten about
really
Loop Hero. I covered it a little bit when it came out, and it
Did
kind of
you?
like. But as we are about to discover, I'm not that knowledgeable about roguelikes. So
yeah, I struggled with a category as well. I had a couple, but back to the top. Is this the last? Well, almost the last one, because I guess we've got the fucking scramble that is free pick coming up.
We've got free pick.
Yeah, well, you've got one. I've got 2 picks. You've got 1 pick, and then we get to the free pick scramble.
Oh right, yeah.
So for category 5 multiplayer, I'm going to go for Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh,
Nice.
interesting. Yes.
This is one of my favorite multiplayer indie games. I played a lot of this when it came to PlayStation. Deep Rock Galactic is a game about dwarves. You play as a dwarf, and your job is to bury deep into a planet to find a lot of lovely minerals, get those minerals, and then get them back to the surface. The game is just so well presented. It's funny. The 4 classes you can pick are very unique and allow you to dig through the earth to find new routes and secrets. And when you get to the bottom and you get some materials, you then have to go all the way back up and run through this cavern that you've created in part while a bunch of giant ants attack you. This game just keeps getting free content. It has so many free expansion packs. It has an incredible battle pass system where you can pay for a battle pass to support the developers, but then once the season ends, they just add it to the general loot pool so you can get everything eventually
that's
over
good.
time.
Ooh, that is nice.
I like when games do that.
It's so good. It's such a generous game. The fans are really supportive of the developers, and the developers give that back in kind. It's a very wholesome game. Absolutely stunning stuff, and just really good fun to play with friends because it has genuine moments of just like absolute hilarity when you fuck something up and a giant ant crushes you, or you're trying to do a puzzle and you just can't get any more materials down to reload your guns or whatever. It's a proper special multiplayer game, and I couldn't have picked anything else for this category, to be honest.
Oh, I need to play that. It looks so much fun.
It's
I need to
really
play
fun.
it. Yes. That's a great pick. Oh, good one. Go on then, Rebecca.
Your
Moment of
penultimate
truth. Moment of truth. Roguelike.
Oh,
So
yes.
I know nothing about. It's not true. I know about roguelikes, obviously. Even I've played Hades. Like, it's got to be done. But yeah, I actually really, really struggled to field for this category. And I'm still, even as we speak, trying to buy myself time because I'm between 2.
Okay.
And I'm like,
Ooh,
in
okay.
what way do I want to embarrass myself? This is the question that remains. Do I embarrass myself by giving a very obvious Rebecca answer, or do I embarrass myself by giving a very off the wall Rebecca answer?
Are they not the same? They're not the same. That sounds like.
Oh no, but there's safe, and then there's like, I don't know. There's like, oh,
Rogue.
she's on
Rogue. It's in the name. It's in the name.
she's on a bullshit again, or she's on
That's
her
in the
bullshit
name.
again. Okay. I'm letting you pick this one for me, Rachel, because I think this is a more entertaining answer to give. to
Yes.
this one. So if you're wondering what I was talking around, it was I didn't know whether to pick Boyfriend Dungeon, which is the only roguelike I've ever completed. But it's kind of like, I love that game, but as a roguelike, it's pretty basic, which is probably why I like it, because I'm not that great at this genre. But another roguelike that I've been seeing a lot of recently and checked out a little bit myself is, okay, I'm so sorry, my apologies in advance.
Yes.
A game called Wedding Witch.
Oh
Which,
my god, what is this?
If you know it.
What is this?
Oh god, it is like very borderline in terms of
Rebecca.
I know, but it's a genuinely good roguelike. As far as I'm able to assess a good roguelike, I think this is actually a good rogue. Boyfriend Dungeon is a very entry-level roguelike. This one actually does scare me but it's also...
Which potion will you take?
The
big breast potion or the little breast potion?
So wait, yeah, do you level up your character by
changing
incredible?
Boobs? Like,
oh my God.
Okay, so I should probably provide a little bit of context for this before it's not going to get better based on what I'm actually going to say, but it will at least round it out.
I love this. This is amazing.
This is the same part of my brain that unironically loves Honeypot, basically loves this game. It is just, the titular character. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Titular
killed myself doing that. No. Absolutely destroyed myself halfway through a sentence. Anyway, in Wedding Witch, the player character it's weird. She is the character you're playing as, but also she's like in love with you, the player. It's got like a bit of a Doki Doki vibe going on in that sense. Yes. But she is like going to gather potions. She's like trying to make her perfect wedding day, which involves a lot of like bullet hell battles in this roguelike arena. As you say, you gain level ups by like taking these potions to change her body type. It's a really intense. If Boyfriend Dungeon is the sort of like gentle, it's mostly about the relationships, but you also get to like, do some pretty cool but not that complex sort of dungeon crawling. Mm-hmm. Then Wedding Witch is absolutely, this is kind of a dating sim, but is mainly a bullet hell roguelike. And
you win. Congratulations,
I'm
Rebecca.
Kind of obsessed with it. Even though it's like I say, it's the same weird feeling I get when I'm like, I like Honeypop, and then you're like, really? Is it just about boobs? And it's like, yes, it's even more just about boobs.
This is so amazing.
I don't play roguelikes, you guys.
I genuinely don't know what to say.
I know.
I'm actually flabbergasted that you went.
Myself.
You went for horny vampire survivors.
I know. Oh yeah, actually, I have heard it described as horny vampire survivors.
This
to be
is incredible. This is amazing.
I can't knock you for it, Rebecca. That's looking at your list now of your console. The fact it's called the Empathy Machine, and just seeing Wedding Witch stuck between Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and Dredge is so.
Look, I've got a brand to maintain, and I do feel that this maintains the brand.
Fuck yeah. I love this energy.
Wow.
Yeah. There's also like muscle potions and stuff. Like this is cool.
It's not just legitimately. Legitimately, it can be like small breasts are also nice. So maybe you want that as your power up next time.
Yeah.
It's very fair-minded in terms of like body positivity. It's honestly kind of got a lot going on. But also, I fully accept that this is just ridiculous, but I don't know roguelikes at all.
I fucking love this podcast so much.
I know, this is incredible,
my
Rebecca.
favourite thing.
Oh my
God. Wow.
I think that was more entertaining than just be like, I like Boyfriend Dungeon. Because I do. I love Boyfriend Dungeon. But
yeah.
Like, Seven for life. I love him so much, but this was just way funnier to say.
Absolutely.
I like how you said it's up to Rachel to decide, but then our reactions were so flabbergasted, you just went with Wedding Witch. You didn't...
Well, I mean,
No, I was saying going for the rogue choice.
Yeah, she'd already told me to go
I said go rogue. Yeah.
She was encouraging me to be the most outlandish version of myself. And
well, we love it. We absolutely love it. Rachel, what?
My witch laugh again from last time.
Oh, shit, yeah.
It's still pre-Halloween when we're recording this.
It is.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, my last pick is for outstanding soundtrack, and I'm going to choose Hollow Knight. We talked about this in the music episode. I love that. This is my first pick for outstanding soundtrack. Journey and Hotline Miami was so close behind. I guess those three were like my tide. But Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania where you play as little bug boy on his very scary, creepy, horrifying adventures through a civilization that is dead, gone. The remnants of which are just kind of being slowly poisoned by this weird disease. You're not quite sure what's going on there. You meet some friendly characters and they're lovely, but ultimately this game is about destroying the remnants of the civilization, without giving too much of the ending away. And yeah, the soundtrack absolutely is such a highlight of this wonderful game. The presentation is awesome, but yeah, you can just feel the vibe of an area, or just understand how much fucking danger you're in from the soundtrack alone. It's such a hauntingly great OST that this is one that's on my regular rotation when I'm need to get into a certain mood when writing. And yeah, I love the soundtrack for this game. I talked about my favorite track on the music episode called City of Tears. I love that track so much. But yes, Hollow Knight is definitely mine. Whenever I think of soundtracks, that one is one of the first to pop into my brain, along with Journey and Hotline Miami. So I think from my perspective, that's we've all the bases covered for outstanding soundtrack, because I didn't have many for this category either, so that was interesting.
Same.
That's my last one.
Good
well, apart from
pick.
What's to come.
Okay, we're about to dive into free
more?
pick. I have one more. I have category 9, dubious definition of indie.
Yes.
I'm going to go for satisfactory.
Okay.
Oh shit!
So,
is that dubious?
I think that's dubious.
Okay.
I would argue.
I would love to hear why it's dubious.
Is this going to be?
No, it is. But I had that as another really high pick launched in early access, and I had no idea. That was my second pick after Hades. Oh God, that was a bullet.
What do we reckon? Can I have this? What do we reckon?
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted that I just assumed it was. I just assumed. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
I
Me
think
too.
it's on the line, but I think Coffee Stain. Well, actually, I watched a video by.
Yeah, why? Let's get into it.
So they are a pretty prolific publisher now, and well, my main definition of this is that I watched a video by one of their community managers when they were asked, "Is Satisfactory indie?" and they said probably not at this point.
Interesting.
Because
Okay.
I think they said they have a lot of backing from larger publishers and companies that would probably change that definition. So if, in my mind, it sort of sits within the Power Wash Simulator segment of this.
I see that, yeah.
So Satisfactory is a factory automation game where you land on a beautiful, untouched planet and you have to strip all of its resources and minerals out of the ground. This is to basically just send it back to your parent company. And the difference between this game compared to other automation games like Factorio is that it's fully 3D and it's from a first-person perspective. And this is a very lavish, extravagant project. It's a stunning game. It's a really beautiful game. It's set in a large open world, and when you're plonking down these factories and building these conveyor belts, and you're turning iron into plates and then wires and then circuitry and then all these advanced things, and you're building these huge belching factories that are, using electricity and biomass, and you're just ruining this world. There is something so cathartic about it, and so logical and cerebral, I guess, because it really does activate that part of your brain that has to think about supply lines and efficiency. And I find it very relaxing to have a podcast on in the background. And I just think Satisfactory, for my money, as much as I love Factorio, as much as I love Dyson Sphere Program, I do think Satisfactory is the best of that genre of game. So yes.
Hell yeah, good choice.
Why it's in
Very
this
nice.
category. I would have picked Power Wash Simulator, but no, never mind.
We did. So was that the one you were like, this is my safe space. This is mine.
Yes.
That's why I picked it relatively early on. I knew you'd be thinking it.
You got me right.
I know.
Now that I've locked in Satisfactory and dubious definition of indie, and you've both agreed it should be in there, it was originally going to be my forever game, and it was on this as a shortlist, and I was going to try and fight for both definitions of it being indie or not.
Oh,
that's really good.
That would have been spicy. Yeah, I like that.
I would love to see what everyone's shortlists look like at the end of this.
Oh, we should definitely go through and just chuck a few out.
Maybe. Yeah, definitely. Just a few honourable mentions.
Yes. Okay.
speaking of honourable mentions, I mean, that's basically what this last bit is, right? Because we're
free
just
space.
We're down to free
Basically,
pick.
Yay!
we are.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
I think we've been doing this long enough that we don't need to bring in any of the additional categories that we had in case we didn't talk enough.
I mean,
No, true. No, I think we're good.
I half thought with this one, we could like spin the spinner again, and whoever it lands on has to add braid to their console.
Oh,
that's evil, Rachel.
We won't do that. We won't do that. But
it's funny though.
Could I at least
very
argue you down to the witness if it landed on me?
it has to be.
Your Honour.
It has to be braid.
Can I get reduced sentence the witness, please?
No, we're not doing that, but that would have been really...
That would have been
That's
evil.
so spicy. That's so
that's got
funny.
me.
Or would have had
That's
to
really
take
got me.
one of those games off to replace it with braid.
Oh no! I would leave this podcast. I would take out my headphones, walk out of this room, leave the call running. So you have to wonder if I'm coming back.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We should
we won't.
do, if we ever do this again, we should do a chaos draft where we have forfeits and like, if you want this, you have to have this or something.
Yes,
we can think
yes.
about that.
Ooh,
That might be
yes,
quite
that's
fun.
really interesting. Because like
I
I do
love that.
I do like our backup categories. I think we should try and do something with them to the point where I probably won't share
Yeah, I
anything
agree.
from
Wasn't
mine.
one
Just
just
'cause,
like hot characters?
yes, it
Yeah, it
was.
was so
and
good though. It's a
Yes,
great
that
idea.
was
think-
so good.
Objectively, I think I may have already worked in. Anyway,
But see, again, my point was when I was originally, I misunderstood the rules. Like, imagine if you had to put braid somewhere and then you had to argue full-heartedly why Tim the Terrible Boy was hot.
didn't that
Rachel,
happen in our last episode?
I was about to say, didn't that happen last episode?
Yeah. Oh my god. Also,
God.
by the way, I've got to tell you something about that whole bit, which is that I was speaking to my parents on the phone the other day, and they recently listened to that episode, and they said, "I can't believe how much you two bullied Liam." Right?
Bully me. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I need to say this. I was not bullied. I was gently given permission by my two lovely friends to admit something heinous. Much like when a parent gets their child to admit a crime, and that is what happened last week. As if they thought you bullied me. I didn't think that at all. No.
It was very funny. I was like,
Fucking
"Are
hell.
you kidding?"
I think mine came from a genuine concern for you as a
Yeah,
human being.
That's fair.
Oh, that's funny.
I just really. She's like, "You were bullying poor Liam." I'm like, "What?"
Not at all. Not at all.
Right, okay.
I was like, "How was that?" You say anyway. I just thought that was really funny. I had
That
to
is
tell you
good.
that. But we are on to free pick now.
You're onto your free pick, Rebecca, yeah.
I am, and you know what? I'm going to use this in a slightly offbeat way. But when I got to the point of picking detective games, once I decided what counted as a detective game, I actually had two that I really wanted to put forward, and I figured that my second pick would make for a good free pick if we had the chance.
Nice.
So, my free pick, I'm going to put in Strange Horticulture.
Oh, cute. Very nice.
Because I think it fits the vibe of what I've been going for largely, with the sort of like intersection of like very narrative and a little bit spooky and like very nice sort of like cartoon art style. And it also, you know, it has that kind of detective-y vibe because you play an individual who has recently inherited, I think it's an aunt or an uncle's flower shop.
Yeah.
In this like very, very rainy, very overcast town. Loosely based on parts of the sort of northwest England, and like the Lake District essentially, which is a really lovely part of England. And you sell people plants, but you also make little potions and concoctions from the plants that you grow. And it becomes evident over time that there is a sort of like cult-like thing happening in the areas around the town. But it's a very gentle investigative game. It's mostly like you solve the mystery by identifying plants and knowing when to use them and in what context. So it does still have that detective-y feel, but also one of the things that I love about it for this to like round out the console is that it's really short. It's only about 4 hours, I think, to complete, maybe 6. And it just felt like a nice little, rather than, you know, try and tack something, you know, huge onto the end, just to have like a little nice short, but very good. I mean, it's genuinely, I do really love this game. I'm so excited for the sequel that's maybe next year.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have this tiny game has quite a big place in my heart, not just because there's an adorable cat, but that's also part of it. Yeah, strange horticulture.
Love it.
Good final pick. Rachel,
Yeah.
what's your free pick?
My final pick is Undertale. I don't talk about
Nice.
Undertale half as much as I should on this podcast. Because I fucking love Undertale. It's really great. I understand that maybe it's a bit weird because of the fandom, and that's a whole other thing that I don't even want to poke.
Look, I could never judge you for being involved with something with a weird fandom. So if there's another thing I live at other than the intersection of AA and indie, it's ignoring the weird fandom. So let's just call the whole.
God.
Let's
Yeah,
just not
right.
even do that. That will come out the worst.
Like I feel like Undertale is in many ways a very indie pick. Obviously, one developer, Toby Fox, just absolutely blew everyone away with this very heartfelt RPG where you play as a human who has tumbled into the monster world, which lives below the human world, and they just want to go back to the human world, and the adventure that they go on is just really heartfelt and super funny. It's like one of the funniest games on my console list. The characters are so super charming. The humor is very XD lol so random, but like in a fun way, I think. And this is another one that I was gonna maybe think for music. The music is really good, but also at the same time, there is like the story is poignant in terms of like this human and what they want, and then these monsters who are forced underground for numerous different reasons. And yeah, it's a really interesting twist on the turn-based combat. So essentially, you can like, instead of just killing enemies straight up, you can like talk to them and give them mercy, which is like in itself interesting, but there's little twists with it along the way. And yeah, it's just a really fun game, great mechanic, very indie, will pull at your heartstrings, and I think bullseye on all of them. I don't think it's just really fun, and I love it. And Deltarune, I'm very excited for it, but Undertale will always have my whole heart because it is very cute. And I remember me and friend of the podcast Henry played it together the first time, finished it within 6 hours at 11 p.m. and immediately restarted a run again, and played it for the next. Played it to early in the morning and then again the next day. And I think this was like, I don't want to be that girl, but I think this is day of release because Henry had read about it at RPS. He was like,
really?
Oh, Henry was really into Rock Paper Shotgun back in the day. And he was like, I've read about this game. We should play it. And I was like, okay, that's cute. And then we did. And we were like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So I have that kind of connection with it as well. Like kind of like a,
yeah.
But,
nice.
And also, thank God, when we first played it, if any of the twists that we know of now, like, we had no fucking clue. So, like, it was really interesting playing it the first time, being like, I swing my sword, ha 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 ha, and then being like, oh God, oh Jesus. Halfway through.
It's definitely one of those games that like hits very different, I think, if you came to it unspoiled, which I did not. So
I'm very thankful that, I've chosen Undertale. So is that our last pick for Liam?
Pick.
Very last?
Yeah, I think it is.
So our last pick, yep, my free pick, predictably, is Hypnospace Outlaw. I'm very happy that no one went for it.
That would have been, I think if anyone would have chosen that for you, because me and Rebecca are like okay with it, but like, that would have been like a... That would have been the betrayal. That would have been nasty. That would have been nasty.
I think I would have been okay, but I would have had to have a long lie down afterwards. A bit more than I will have to after this. So Hypnospace Outlaw is an alternate reality internet simulator. It's a detective game where you play as an enforcer who has to click through 90s style web pages to uncover a mystery at the heart of it. I love this game. I think it has incredible art, a very human story at the heart of it, and an absolutely sensational soundtrack. It's a one-of-a-kind game in general, but it's an absolutely sensational indie. I've spoken about this game so much.
Yeah,
Hypnospace
so
Outlaw, it's got to be there. This is my free pick. And with that, we come to the end
oh my goodness.
of the draft.
Oh my God. Done.
Just to remind you all, before should we make a pitch? Well, should we read out each game that we've picked, and then we can make a pitch for our console? Is that something we want to do?
Yep, okay.
Sure.
Okay, So I'll read out the category name, and then I'll say what my pick is, and then Rebecca, you can say yours, and then Rachel yours, and then we'll just go through all the categories.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, category 1, detective game. I went with Return of the Obra Dinn.
Oh, sorry, that's me. I was looking at Rachel like, when's Rachel going to go?
Oh,
It's been this order the entire time. Sorry, it's getting late. I picked Heaven's Vault.
And I picked Paradise Killer.
Category 2, narrative focused. I picked What Remains of Edith Finch.
I picked Firewatch.
And I went with Kentucky Route Zero.
Category 3, forever game. I went with Balatro.
Stardew Valley.
Vampire Survivors.
So good. That one hurts. That category hurts me. Category 4, launched in early access. I went with RimWorld.
Project Zomboid.
And Hades for me.
Category 5, multiplayer. I went with Deep Rock Galactic.
I went with Untitled Goose Game.
And Cult of the Lamb for me.
Category 6, outstanding soundtrack. I went with Hotline Miami.
Everybody's Gone to the Rapture for me.
And Hollow Knight.
Category 7, roguelike. I went with Slay the Spire.
Regrettably, I went with Wedding Witch.
I went with Loop Hero. Wedding Witch.
I know.
Slay the Spire is good, but it's no Wedding Witch.
I know, right?
Hey, don't knock it till you've tried it.
Category 8, included in the Indieventure Vault. I went with Journey.
Dredge.
Disco Elysium.
Category 9, dubious definition of indie. I went with Satisfactory.
I nicked Power Wash Simulator.
Oh, that's another one that. And Minecraft. That was another spicy moment.
So good. And category 10, free pick. I went with Hypnospace Outlaw.
Mine was Strange Horticulture.
And mine was Undertale.
We did it. We drafted.
Woo! We drafted.
So you will be able to vote for the machine that you think is the best.
Yes.
Either on Twitter or on our Discord in the welcome channel, or the announcements channel, sorry. You can find a link to that in the episode description. I think you should buy Indiscovery, my machine, because it gives you a healthy mix between indie classics, action games, cerebral detective classics such as The Best Game Ever Made, Return of the Obra Dinn, some modern favourites like Satisfactory and Balatro, and some fun multiplayer things like Deep Rock Galactic.
Your tagline could have been, I have Return of the Obra Dinn.
That's on the front of the box. It just says, it's a white box, and in Comic Sans it says, you can play Return of the Obra Dinn on this.
So good. Want to pitch yours, Rebecca?
I think that, well, actually what I think is that the empathy machine will find you if you need it, but should you choose to go to seek it out, the reason you might want to do this is because I genuinely think that it's a very nice handheld concept we've got going here. We've got a lot of games that are very bite-sized in various ways that you can play for short bursts while you're out and about on the go, but also, you know, there's a lot there to really mine for, you know, thoughts, feelings, things that you might want to, you know, reflect on as a person. And then there's Wedding Witch, which I think takes us right back round to the start. So, and it's probably the next crime you'll commit, and then that's when.
And then there's Wedding Witch. So fucking good.
It's, oh my God.
To be frank, I'm kind of expecting one of these to be on my doorstep in the morning because I brought this to another. Incredible. Genuinely, everything else that I've picked, I would. They look so lovely lined up together, and I do like Wedding Witch, but it's kind of there, like looking at me, you know, like one of these things is perhaps
so
slightly
funny.
not like the others. Although I think Project Zomboid and Wedding Witch, I feel like there's a sort of through line there. I think they've both got like a, you know, kind of a like,
yes,
stylized and cheeky take on the genre. I would say they're both doing it very tongue in cheek.
Do both have big boob portions in them? Is that the link between them?
I mean, there's a lot of mods for Project Zomboid, so if there wasn't before, there probably is now.
God, that is literally, I'm dead.
Yeah, well.
That's so funny. Rachel, why should people buy your console?
Mine, the Megawatt Voyager. Mine has very, very generic in terms of just lots of good indie games, I guess. But there's a bit of personality as well in that I've chucked in, you know, if you think about indie games, you've got your Hades, your Minecraft, kind of Disco Elysium, Hollow Knight, Undertale. These are all indies that you think of. So we got all of those. And then we also got some spice with Kentucky Route Zero, Paradise Killer, Cult of the Lamb. That was a pretty good choice for multiplayer, you know? And yeah, so we're looking pretty good. And also we have Vampire Survivors. Indie Discovery doesn't have Vampire Survivors.
Is that your tagline for your console?
Aggressive marketing.
Spicy.
Don't make me choose between Obra Dinn, Vampire Survivors, and my new favourite game, Wedding Witch.
With that all out the way, thank you very much, Liam, for that recommendation that we do all this. This is very fun and going to be a yearly thing next year because now we know the rules. Now we know the game. It's like
she's
like
in now. She's invested.
First season of The Traitors, no one knows what they're doing, so it's very chaotic. Second season of reality TV show The Traitors, it's like people come knowing what they want to do, you know. So next year we're gonna be like, very different game.
A whole year to think about it.
Oh, I can't wait. Thank you for entertaining me, humouring me.
Right, we won't keep you any longer. Let's go on to our hyperfixations.
Shall I go? Because I'll be very quick.
Yeah.
As Liam knows, but I can't talk about for the reason that Liam is the only person I know who can shout about this.
Yeah.
I've been playing more Life is Strange Double Exposure. I've got to the twist.
Shit! There's a twist?
I was so excited. I was so excited when I got there because I called it and it was just off the wall, but I called it. I had to text Liam because he's the only person I know who doesn't want to play it and scream at him.
Shit!
That's very funny.
I will blast past that because I know that Rachel probably does want to play it, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But the other thing that I wanted to mention real quick that I've been enjoying recently is Agatha All Along, which is the Disney Plus series that is a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off because that's where the MCU is at in 2024. But while I've been keeping up, I've not dropped off the MCU. I'm still watching everything in the MCU, but as was inevitable, I think that it's been a lot more hit and miss since Endgame.
Interesting, yeah.
But Agatha All Along is one of my favourite things that they've done in the post sort of Endgame years. I'm really I didn't think I was going to like it at all. I'm only really watching it because I love Kathleen Hahn.
Yes, I was going to say, she's so fucking good.
But it's so good. It's like a real, it's a focus, like all of the lead characters, it's mostly women and one young queer man as the leads.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's very much about it's like the coven and the sisterhood, but also it's like completely female villain, these people are nasty a lot of the time.
Oh shit.
The way it's been done is because it's on Disney Plus. I'm looking at it alongside things like Hocus Pocus and I'm being like, it really gets how to be a show about mean witches that is not just like, even though I love American Horror Story Coven, it's just not, it's not taking that totally nasty direction with it. It's taking a much more like psychological and twisted and like camp and weird take on it.
Oh shit.
At the time of recording, there's still 3 episodes to go, so I think it's 3 episodes. Anyway, we'll see if it sticks the landing, but it's the first show in a while that I've been watching as it comes out and really obsessing over.
Oh, that looks so cool. Okay. I definitely want to watch that.
I've heard a few people recommend it now, and I'm like, maybe I should try it, because it does sound good, and it sort of sounds like it's very independent as well.
Yeah, my mum's watching it, and my mum didn't even watch WandaVision, and she's still enjoying it because it does kind of like stand alone well enough, I guess, that you can kind of just enjoy it on its own merits because Agatha is kind of like a minor enough character, which is what made it feel so weird that she was getting her own whole season. But yeah, it's been worth it. It's been so good, very Halloweeny as well. Great, great October series. Enjoying it so much.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right, Liam, you go.
I have read a book. I'm maybe 50 pages away from finishing this book, and I have bloody loved this book. Oh my god, it's so good. I can't believe I didn't know about it. I got recommended it from another podcast, and I'm so happy I gave it a try. This is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson.
I know of it, definitely.
Yeah, I've heard of it before. It's also referred to as The Final Empire, the first book, but I've no idea what. My book says Mistborn. So this is a big old doorstop of a fantasy novel, which I kind of fancied digging into. But what I love about this is it's got such a two unique things that has really drawn me in. One, the world of this book it supposes what happens if the bad guy wins. And this world, this final empire, is run by this ominous figure, this immortal, literally godlike being called the Lord Ruler, and the world is fucked. He saved it from an evil creature, but destroyed the world and made himself immortal in the process. So ash falls from the sky, there's no vegetation left, and common people known as Scar are ruled over by noblemen and the Lord Ruler, and there's been effectively 1,000 years of the Scar being treated as downtrodden workers. The book focuses on two characters, Kelsia and Vin, who are both Mistborn. Mistborn are these magical people that can use metals to gain powers to fight against the Final Empire. And the way that magic works in this book is so brilliantly grounded that it just makes the book feel so, I don't know, I want to say like passable, because it's all rooted in almost like a physics system. So they have to drink small amounts of purified metals to burn it, as it's called. So they can drink copper and iron and steel, and then when it's in their stomachs, they can burn it in their bodies. Then that gives them the power, but they can only burn the metals for as long as they're in their bodies. Once they degrade, they lose that power. And each metal gives them very different powers. So they can use tin to enhance their senses and see through the mists that permeate this world on a night. But the way that it moves, the way that it's so kinetic, is that two of the metals that they can burn, steel and iron, I think, allows them to push and pull metal. So if they push against a pipe, the pipe will fly away. If they pull, it'll come towards them. But it abides to physics. So if they push against a metal object that's heavier than them, they'll get pushed back. And if they pull, they'll get pulled towards it. So it lets them fly and move around by throwing coins on the ground. And if they push against a coin and it hits the ground, they fly upwards. So what you end up with is these incredible action sequences where there'll be a bunch of guards running towards the main characters, and they're fighting a real like immortal creature that is one of the Lord Ruler's like henchmen, and they'll be pushing themselves off soldiers and pulling on window frames and throwing coins and using all of these allomatic powers, and all the while being like, oh, I can feel how much metal is left in my stomach and I need to burn that, or I need to lessen that, or maybe push harder to get more power. Whoa. And it's just so thrilling a book. And I've absolutely loved it. The characters are fantastic. And this first book is basically a heist. It's a heist against the Lord Ruler. It's got a real ragtag bunch of people that all have different specialities. And it's the first of a trilogy. I bought the trilogy because it was as cheap to buy the trilogy as it was the first book, and I'm so excited to read through the other two. It's a really fun thing, to the point where I'm surprised that it's 500 pages, because I'm at the point now where I'm like, wow, I have chewed through that.
Whoa, that sounds so cool.
That does sound really cool.
It's so fun.
I'm surprised it hasn't got like an adaptation or anything, or has it?
Right?
Yeah, me too, actually. I don't
That's
know.
wild.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. Oh no, I'm gonna have to add that to my TBR.
Yeah.
Endless to read.
Yeah. Oh god. Although I'm not good with long books, but that sounds so cool. That sounds like really cool. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Because I've heard he's
it's
a big deal, right? That writer, Brandon.
Yeah, he's a very prolific fantasy author. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely heard his name before. But
There's like 10 of these books. It's ridiculous.
oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You've started an odyssey.
I have, and I will go through it because I'm a nut job. But yeah, they're very, very good. What is your hyperfixation, Rachel?
My hyperfixation is Neva, a game that came out from the Greece developers.
Yes.
I've been making my way through this game. It's pretty good. I really like it. I know that a lot of people had a lot of problems with Greece, just in terms of like, I think it was a lot of, you know, this game. Greece was a game about like a young woman dealing with her depression and a lot of feelings that she was feeling because of loss. And like, it was kind of like the 7 stages of, is it 7 stages of grief? Oh God.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Is it 5 or 7? 5 or 7?
Is it 5?
5. It might be 5.
5. Is it 5? 5. Okay, so
Yeah.
the stages
5,
of grief.
like we said in the first place. Like we both said.
So she's going through that, and so it's a very like watercolor based game where the visuals are beautiful. Neva is Nomada Studios' next game, And it is kind of trying to do the same thing, but in more of a fantasy setting. There's, again, a young woman who has a wolf companion, and it's very, it's like an action platformer. So you have like a samurai sword and you're like chopping through these very strange enemies who are kind of globules of black liquid tar oil type things with masks. And the idea is you're fighting through different areas and just defeating these different types of boss fights and enemies. And this kind of substance has taken over the world in some way. It's kind of slowly eating away at it, which is interesting. I'm not really locked in with the story as much as I am the presentation and animation of the game. It just looks amazing. The way that the main character moves, she has a cape, and so whenever she's like attacking, her cape like flies really dramatically, or whenever the wolf Neva is like attacking, like there's just a wonderful like gracefulness to this animation, and it's just so, there's like a lot of like really evocative imagery. But yeah, again, not super locked in with the story. I think I'm not sure whether that emotional punch is going to come yet, or if it's never going to come now I'm halfway through the game. But I'm still really enjoying it. I do feel like, for me, what's pulling me through is definitely the visuals and how it looks. So that is more than enough for me to play the entire game. But I can see why people might be a bit frustrated. A lot of these like kind of signifiers, a lot of it is from like Studio Ghibli, and so many people have been, there's so many Studio Ghibli games out recently. Europa released was it this week or last week? Very Studio Ghibli game. Neva's a very Ghibli game. But I'm not totally in love with this game yet, but my heart is open. I agreed with the criticisms from Greece, but still really enjoyed it because it looked nice. So who knows? That might be the same case here, is that it just looks nice. And I've taken so many fucking screenshots. This game is, I feel like a photo album with all the screenshots I've taken. But yeah, I'm enjoying it right now. I probably will talk about it maybe in a future episode, just because it's near the end of the year now. And we're trying to play all these games. But yeah, so that's my hyperfixation.
I absolutely think this looks fantastic. I was just watching a trailer. I need to get around to this. God, there's just very few games that look that vibrant.
Yeah.
And so varied in its colour palette as well. Yeah, very excited to give this a whirl.
Great, awesome. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Woo! Hopefully this won't be too long.
Yeah, we did
Me
it.
trying to quickly wrap it up.
A slim 2 hours 10. We've been worse, honestly.
Yeah, if you listen this far, thank you so much. We really hope you enjoyed the draft. Obviously, we had such a blast recording it.
So good.
And yeah, so have a good... When does this come out? Have a good week. There we go. Have a good week.
Mid-November.
Have a great week, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Indieventure is a video games podcast created, produced, hosted, and edited by Rachel Watts, Rebecca Jones, and me, Liam Richardson. For more information, including a list of every game we mentioned in this episode, make sure to check out our website, indieventurepodcast.co.uk. You can get in touch by sending your questions, comments, and feedback to contact@indieventurepodcast.co.uk. You can support the show by rating us 5 stars and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast provider of choice. Some of the games we talk about on the show may have been provided to us for free for review consideration. Our intro music and stings were composed for us by Ollie Newbury. Check the episode description to hear more of his excellent tunes. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for another episode of Indieventure. Bye for now.